This just looks like the same game. What are you doing? Welcome to the channel. So I want to put together my thoughts on everything that's happened since we got the Overwatch 2 PvP update from the Overwatch League Grand Finals, and they released, obviously a couple of weeks ago, they showed us a couple of games. We got to see Rome. It was great, whatever. But we wanted to see actual game modes that we play. We wanted to see actual maps that we played on. And so Blizzard actually recorded a bunch more games, and they released these the other week, so we got to look through them. And now I've said in recent videos, I've watched these things over and over and over again. I've been making lists of things I like, things I dislike. Is this good for the game? Is this bad for the game? But the overwhelming feedback I am seeing out there from everybody, and this is absolutely correct in every way, is it just looks the same as Overwatch 1. What the fuck is going on? Well, I'm going to be honest, guys. It's got to look the same as Overwatch 1, because if you own Overwatch 1, you, as far as we know, you will get access to Overwatch 2's PvP, which is just Overwatch's PvP, so they can't radically change it, right? Because it would be a completely different game. And I think that's the problem. That is the biggest problem here, because you've got to think, what is this, right? Well, as far as we know, if you own Overwatch, you will be able to play Overwatch 2. And Overwatch 2 PvP is essentially a 5v5 streamlined PvP version of the original. So the best way to think of this, it's not a sequel. As much as Blizzard are like, yeah, it's a sequel, guys, and we've got all these features, it's going to be a sequel. The PvP element, we're not talking about PvE at the moment, but the PvP element, it's just an upgrade. It is not a sequel. It is not going to be radically different, and that's the problem everybody is having. And it's justified because all of the media Blizzard have been releasing recently, it's just completely around PvP. And you look at it and you're like, well, it's the same. There was a clip from XQC and he sits there and he's like, well, it's the same. Yeah, it is the same. It is actually the same. It's meant to be the same, but they've made some little changes. Because think of it this way. They've got to do something because it's supposed to be Overwatch 2. They can't just roll out PvE and leave PvP. They've got to make changes to all of the game if they want an actual sequel. So what have they done? All right, well, the sound is way better in Overwatch 2. That's subjective, right? So I can't really just say that as a statement. It's way better. Technically, it's better. It's more complex. It's more layered. It's upgraded, right? Whether you like the sound of Soldier's new gun compared to his old gun, that's up to you. But it is definitely better from a technological standpoint, because now there are things like different sound effects from wherever you're firing the weapon. So if you're firing it inside a metal container, you get a different sound effect as opposed to firing it in a large open room, which coincidentally, this was a feature back in Battlefield 3. So if you Google Battlefield 3 and see what year that came out, yeah. Anyway, Battlefield's always a pretty good sound design, but when it works, if you don't play the most recent one, it's kind of bad. Anyway, yeah, so the sound's been updated. The UI gets updated, gets streamlined, there's more information on the screen, there's less clutter. Again, this is, do you like it or don't you like it? Again, it's subjective, but it gives you more information in less space, and it's cleaner and it's easier to understand. The old UI obviously had its quirks, things like the player portraits, which we know are gone for Overwatch 2. Well, in Overwatch, yeah, they look kind of nice, don't they, in the bottom corner, and, you know, that's not going to be there for Overwatch 2. The visuals, so all of the abilities just look better. Dragon Strike looks way better. Like, honestly, it looks way, way better. It looks cleaner, looks more vibrant. The same goes for all the effects as well. Reinhardt's Fire Strike, again, looks really nice, looks really crisp. Looks very Overwatchy. Looks, dare I say, Overwatch 2. Character models get updated. Now, this is kind of a bit of a contentious point as well, because some of the models, well, one of the models, I'm just going to straight up say this, Reaper, I don't even think is an upgrade from the Overwatch model. It looks like it doesn't look as good. It really doesn't look as good. But if we ignore that, and maybe we ignore, I don't know, like Winston or something, a lot of the other models have got, well, all of the models, it's not fair to say a lot of the other models, all of the models we've seen so far have got more detail on them. Again, they're technically better. Again, it's an upgrade of Overwatch 1. It's not a brand new game. It's not like this is completely different. This is a totally, you know, a complete reimagining of those heroes. It's not. It's just, well, we've made them slightly more high res. We've given them a little bit of extra detail. We've upgraded their textures. We've added a little bit more bits and pieces to the heroes. That's kind of what they've done. Again, it's just an upgrade. Maps are also getting bigger. They're getting more detailed. There's loads of ways you can flank. Again, this is an enhancement over existing Overwatch with its smaller maps. But again, you can also argue, well, maybe existing Overwatch, actually, the maps were better for being slightly smaller. These huge maps we're seeing for Overwatch 2, maybe they're not going to play as well, because of course we've got one less player now, so there's more, like, the map becomes more a focus of the game. But that actually can be a huge positive, and I'm pretty sure this is the reason why they're doing this. It's to make map-specific metas. It's to say, hey, this is the type of team comp we want on New York as opposed to Dorado. Could be completely different. What exactly is there to be optimistic about here, then? This is the big golden question. Well, I think, really, it's the resumption of major updates to Overwatch, because for years, we have not had any major updates to Overwatch. Now, Overwatch, for the context of this video, is the PvP element or arm of Overwatch 2. So we haven't had any major updates to Overwatch, but we are going to get them with Overwatch 2. And we are getting updates on the game as they develop it ready for Overwatch 2. So we know, obviously, yes, it's 5v5, but there's only one tank. Tanks are changing. A lot of the heroes are getting reworked and buffed, and there's just loads of stuff going on. But again, it isn't completely new, right? It's just an upgrade. This is the reason why people are getting super confused. But that being said, as I've said it about 10 times in this video so far, it's still a reason to be optimistic, because we do know that when Blizzard work on Overwatch, they do make good stuff. And if they're constantly working on it and supporting it, there is potential for there to be some great content hitting the game. Just go back to 2016, 2017, even partway through 2018. I want to go up until 2018 Archives event. I think 2016 to the 2018 Archives event is the golden period for Overwatch, because I think after that, that's when they started working on Overwatch 2, and that's when the game just fell into, I don't want to say disrepair, that's not fair, but it fell into maintenance mode in a way. Again, that's maybe not fair, but it just fell into a mode of, like, it's not being supported anymore. And that made us all really salty as players of the game, and rightfully so, because we sat there looking at the game, which just was sort of dying off through what looked like lack of input from the development team. Obviously, we know now that they're working on Overwatch 2, or they were working on Overwatch 2. The moral of this bit of the video is pretty much like, hey, when they start working on Overwatch, it's probably going to be good for us, right? So, yeah. What about actual changes, though, to what we've seen so far with PvP for Overwatch 2? Well, the music just sounds more complex, more layers. It sounds Overwatch 2, right? The teammate death sounds that change as your teammates die. Very nice. It's an audio cue to how many people are dead on your team. So as the sound effect basically gets higher and higher pitched, as it does, you realize, oh my god, maybe I shouldn't use my ultimate because literally 3 people have died on my team. That's an extra help, because in current Overwatch, you only have the kill feed. You don't have audio for when players die. Now, this is ripped completely from the, well, it's ripped from Blackwatch, from the Archives event back in 2018, which is fine. You know, they've developed these things. Let's use them in the game if they're going to enhance the game. But that's a nice little touch, isn't it? But again, it's an upgrade. Things like the UI for Mercy. Now, if you're being pocketed by Mercy, you can see that you're being pocketed by Mercy, but you can also see the direction of Mercy. Again, it's more information. It's nice looking on the UI. It's good stuff. You'll know where your Mercy is relative to you, and that could help you in a bunch of situations. When you're getting speed boosted by Lucio, your feet glow green. A very elegant way of showing the Lucio player and also everybody on your team, hey, we've got speed on, let's maybe run in. Again, that's good game design. Again, though, that's an upgrade, isn't it? It's an update to Overwatch. Loads of stuff on the UI has changed. I mean, the UI itself is completely different. It's more streamlined. You've got stuff like there's background to increase contrast in the kill notification. And that background's also, you can see it in other places. You can even kind of see it behind health bars on players when you look at them in the world. It's just easier to read, and that's good. But again, it's an update, right? Visual effects is a big one to me, because I gave the example earlier in the video of the Hanzo Dragon Strike. Yeah, it looks cleaner, it looks better. But even things like muzzle flashes from weapons look cleaner, look better. Reinhardt's Fire Strike, again, was an example I gave. It looks cleaner, it looks better. This is what they're trying to do, is make the game look more clean so it's easy to read. Because Overwatch 1 is an absolute clown fiesta of special effects. Now, this was a decision they would have made with purpose, because they wanted the game to look flashy, over the top, bigger than life, and it does. The problem is it becomes very difficult as new heroes get added and things start changing and developing. It just becomes a massive clown fiesta. So for Overwatch 2, they're definitely trying to address this. And I'm afraid to say, this is almost certainly something to do with Overwatch League as well, where it needs to look, you just need to be able to see what's going on. It's very difficult to follow what's going on at Overwatch League level. So what we've got now for Overwatch 2 is one less player, but also a much cleaner UI and a much cleaner visual effects suite. So all the abilities look cleaner, they look sharper, it's easier to identify what's going on. Oh, look, that team's being speed boosted in by Lucio. Yeah, because all their feet are green. You didn't know that in Overwatch 1, but you do in Overwatch 2. Again, very nice changes, but these are just updates to the game. And that, again, is kind of the moral of this section of the video. It's all upgrades. It's all updates to the game. Now, and I know a lot of you guys are going to think this way as well. This would be in Overwatch right now if they hadn't committed to making Overwatch 2. Can you see where I'm going here? Like, if they just carried on with updates to Overwatch, we would have had all these nice things like the cleaner UI, the Lucio speed boost stuff, and all of that stuff would have been in the game. Whether 5v5 would have been a thing, I don't know, because having a sequel is a great excuse to go, you know what, we can just throw the rulebook away here. We can absolutely start again, and we can just make big sweeping changes. But again, like I said earlier on in the video, this is the ideal time to make some sort of a change like 5v5, because you need people to come back for the sequel, because with a sequel, you are implying it's newer, it's better, it's updated. And again, that goes back to the whole narrative of, well, actually, this just looks like Overwatch. Well, yeah, it does, because it is just Overwatch, because Overwatch is PvP. Overwatch 2 is supposed to be PvP and PvE. So let's just stay on PvP for a moment. Let's talk about 5v5, because this, again, is a massive issue throughout the community. So the loss of a tank is not great if you're a tank duo, or you're just used to playing Overwatch with another tank on your team. It becomes a problem. There are a lot of pros to this and a lot of cons. So things like the pros are, there's one less tank, which means there's a lot less damage actually on the enemy team and on your team as well. But it means if you're a support, you're not going to die as easy. Also, if you're a DPS, you're not going to die as easy, because you won't have to deal with a D.Va or a Winston both diving on you, or a Wrecking Ball and a Winston coming after you. Like, you just don't have to deal with that. Or a Sigma and, God knows what pushing you. You just don't have to deal with that anymore. So it makes certain roles much easier to play. And in fact, the devs have already said they do believe support is very powerful in 5v5. And I believe, especially when it's a DPS-based support, so if it's a Baptiste, an Ana, or a Zen, they will be incredibly powerful, because you can push away flankers, you can do damage so you can look after yourself, and you can heal your team. And because there's only one tank, it's easier for you to heal, right? So there is trade-offs all over the place in that kind of way. The biggest thing for me, though, with 5v5, it's more focus on the individual player to make a play. Overwatch is a team-based game, and they've said they want Overwatch 2 to still be a team-based game. It's still 5v5. But the difference here is one less player and the certain buffs you've been given. Even if you just look at the passive, you look at DPS move 10% faster, for example. You can get into positions quicker. You can get in and out of combat quicker. You can move about quicker because you've got 10% movement speed increase. All of this adds up to more tools, more things for you to do as a player that you can pop off. You can make those skillful plays. You can go, oh my God, it was me that won that fight. Maybe I was the tracer on the flank and I killed the Zen, and maybe I even killed their soldier as well. Oh my God, that's so sick. We've won that fight. Now that happens in Overwatch, right? Totally does. But then think of it from a tank's perspective. Well, in Overwatch, it's hard for a tank to pop off. You can do it. Don't get me wrong. You totally can do it. You could be Winston pops a primal, gets a ton of environmental kills. Reinhardt lands a great shatter and your team win the fight. But now you can do a lot more as a tank. You're more independent in a lot of ways. You don't need your team completely backing you up to keep you alive. You can go in. You can slightly overextend a little bit more. Sure, if you overextend, you're going to die, but it gives you more space to play, more room to play, so you can make more plays and then feel like you're doing more for your team. DPS, obviously, as I said, can just run around faster and whatever. They can do whatever they like. The maps are bigger. It's easier for them to deal with stuff. But it just puts more agency on the player. It gives you as a player more of a chance to pop off. The reverse of this is it puts more pressure on you as a player. Now, in 6v6, you've got two of each role. So if you're a tank player, and we've all been there, where you'd get a Zarya and then you get a Roadhog, and it's like, well, this is just not usable. Like, how can we play in this way? We don't have a shield, we don't have a main tank. How can we push through the chokes? It's going to be harder for us to win this game. But then maybe you get a Reinhardt player or a main tank player, and then it's paired up with a Zarya. Then it feels great, right? Going 5v5 and going for one tank means that if Blizzard, now this is a massive if they can balance the tanks to all be effective, then it doesn't matter. And that's huge. Like, literally not having to worry about your team comp. And this would be the best version of Overwatch, right? If you never had to worry about your team comp. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. In fact, it's just not. I can straight up say right now, that is not going to happen. But having less of a bad experience because your team comp is bad is only a positive when it comes to overall Overwatch design. Now, again, looking at the way 5v5 has played out, I don't think it's inherently been too bad. I think what we've seen is really good players playing against each other from the Overwatch League, but also, yeah, they were kind of testing stuff. They were messing about. There's a lot of heroes in the game that are not reworked yet. There's also brand new heroes that the game is apparently already balanced for, or at least not already balanced for, but they're balancing with the mind of these heroes being added to the game that were not in that build. So there's a lot of gaps. There's a lot of places where things might not work. But overall, I don't think it looked too bad. Talking of Push, though, Push looked not great because Push just looked like a giant deathmatch. But again, that's a brand new game mode. It's a brand new map, brand new balance for the heroes. The players don't really know what they're doing. It's always going to be a mess. And again, you can argue that that's the best. That was actually the best time for Overwatch when the game launched. Nobody knew what they were doing. So it was just great. There was all kinds of different team comps. Everyone was playing all kinds of stuff. And then a few months later, yeah, meta starts settling in. Toxicity starts hitting, and, you know, you have all of these issues. What I'm trying to say, guys, and I've said it in a fairly long-winded way, but I wanted to get a lot of my thoughts out in this video, is just don't worry too much about Overwatch 2 PvP at the moment. Yeah, 5v5 is a big change, but everything else, it can kind of work, and I'm hoping that they do make it work. They've still got a bit of time before Overwatch 2 comes out, whenever that may be, but we do know Overwatch League next year in April will be played on Overwatch 2. So you'd hope that something, maybe a beta or summer, is out at that time to allow us to experience it. Let's go all the way back. It just looks the same as Overwatch 1. What the fuck is going on here, Blizzard? Right, it does. Let's talk about PvE, because this is where it completely goes different. Like, it's off at a tangent. This is the new element to Overwatch 2. Unfortunately, we don't really know anything about PvE beyond what they've told us earlier on in the year. So we've seen a couple of maps. Well, we've seen Rio, which we know is a PvE mission based off the 2019 stuff from Overwatch 2. But we also know that that is now a PvP map. We also know that King's Row has got additional areas added to the map, which are for PvE stuff, as opposed to just PvP, because the map, as far as we know, won't radically change for that. We do also know that a bunch of existing maps will have extra areas added to them, again, for various PvE missions. So one of the two, well, this is all going off old, outdated information, so we really do need a lot of new info from Blizzard. Hopefully that comes towards the end of this year, but because it is a little bit worrying that they've been quiet on PvE. But you've got hero missions, you've got story missions. Story missions are the missions with, well, a story. So you've got the little animated cutscenes. Think of your archives missions. That's kind of what stories missions are, or story missions. And then you've got the hero missions, and these are just missions which randomly appear throughout the world of Overwatch 2, and you go to, let's say, Route 66, and it's a Protect the President style mission. But maybe it's got different areas of the map that have been opened up or added or plugged in, so it feels a little bit different, and it doesn't just feel like running through Route 66 doing some sort of horde defense mode, right? Now, the big issue with PvE, will it be Archives Plus? This is a problem, because if we get the Archives event, but 4 missions, and that's it, I think there'll be a lot of problems. In fact, I think people will just lose their mind. I know I will, because I'll just be like, what the hell have you been doing for all these years? Like, surely you could have made more. The other thing we've got is talents. And again, we don't really know the way talents are right now, but we can, if we go back and we look at the stuff from back in February, where they did show us some of the talent stuff they were working on. So the talent trees looked a lot more detailed than they did way back in 2019 when they showed us. But again, this is all, is this finished? Is this being added to the game? What's going on? What does Overwatch 2 PvE look like? I think the fundamental issue they've got, or they've had, with Overwatch 2 is they have been focusing a lot on PvP, which looks very similar to Overwatch, and that sends a message out that this game just looks the same. How is this a sequel? What they should have been doing is heavily focusing on PvE and showing a lot of that stuff off. Now, we don't know what's going on with the development of Overwatch. We don't know if it's been in development. Hell, it probably has. We don't know if any of the PvE stuff is finished, if it's available to show off. Do they even want to show it off? See, this is the other issue Blizzard have found themselves in, where they have to show us stuff, because if they don't show us stuff, we just think they're not doing anything, and then we just stop playing the game. Because I've already said, You know, we're not updating Overwatch. We're working on Overwatch 2. They've already said Overwatch 2 is 5v5. So why the hell would you play Overwatch when it's 6v6? It makes no sense. Who cares? The game's going away. You know, you don't want that. So Blizzard are forced to actually show us stuff. I think that's why they've been showing us a lot of PvP, because it's easy. Because, oh, look, we can kind of relate to this because we are playing PvP right now. What we need to see, though, is more information on PvE, because I still think there's going to be a lot of people out there who are hella confused as to what this game actually is. We look at it as fans of Overwatch and we're like, you know what? Yeah, it just looks like an upgraded Overwatch experience from what we've seen so far. We need to see the extent of PvE. We need to see how far that goes. I mean, PvE needs raids, it needs progression, it needs all kinds of stuff, right? How is that going to work? We need more information on that. Also, it would be nice if we had a release date as well, and it would be nice if we knew how the game was going to be monetized. Is it free to play? I do know that a lot of pressure from Overwatch League teams has been applied on Blizzard, saying, well, we want the game to go free to play. So maybe that'll happen. The PvP goes free to play, and then PvE is sold as a expansion pack, or you buy the missions, or, you know, who knows how this works. I think that's all I want to say on Overwatch 2 at the moment, guys. I think we need to wait for more information to come out before we can go into even more depth. But just to sum this video up, I know it's been a fairly long video. Got a ton of points that I wanted to cover in my Word document here as I've gone through this. But it doesn't look too bad. I think it looks okay. I think 5v5 will work. I think it's going to be rough to adjust to begin with. If they can hit us with a load of new heroes that launch when the game comes out, that could throw us the meta into complete disarray, which is great because then it means we can all experiment. If they can somehow make the game more map meta focused, which I think they are, especially with the map design we've seen, then team comps will be more varied. Because what we don't want is to just roll the same comp every single time. We want to say, oh, it's New York, let's roll this. Oh, it's Rome, let's roll this. You know, but have ways of changing those comps. Not just say, oh, we have to run these 5 heroes because it's Rome. Maybe we can make changes. Maybe we can change to what the enemy's doing. We want to see all the heroes we played, right? That's the ideal sort of Overwatch situation. All right, guys, I'm going to leave this video at that. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. I want to know what you guys think about Overwatch 2 from what you've seen so far. I am quietly optimistic, but I'm also worried because, you know, I didn't want to touch too much on this in the video, but there are things which do make me kind of worried when I look at what we've actually got available for Overwatch 2. You know, you look at stuff like the player portraits don't all seem to be updated. Well, surely that is done already. You know, why would that take long? You know, if they've upgraded the portraits, just get them in the build. Things like, what about Zarya's character remodel? Where's that? You know, there's a load of heroes that still don't have updates to their model. Why? Surely this would have already been done. You know, there are little things like that that do make you worry, like, oh my god, is this game really that bare bones? But I don't think we'll ever know. All right, guys, thank you for watching the video, and let me know what you think about this in the comments below. I will be reading the comments because I want to know what you guys think about this, because I think it's big. We need to know what you guys think. And yeah, all right, guys, thank you for watching the video. You can follow me on everything, which is @Stylosa, and I'll catch you on the next one. Toodaloo.